I mean, maybe there's something wrong with this particular webinar. I've heard my son take that language. How's your kitchen?
It's supposed to be done in August.
Not yet. We're having technical difficulties.
There's something, yeah, there's something very weird with that. There's I'm the only one. Oh, no, it's the same level. It let me restart it. I think that it was my actual weapon.
We have good friends.
I don't know anyone now.
We used to do that for one film. I think we're always welcome.
Yeah.
Well, good morning. Welcome back to our world. Good.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Well, I'm hearing similar things quite a bit.
It is what it is. I would say.
That's a, it's Cove. That was a very official. I almost don't know where I am.
What?
I don't know where I am.
Neither do I.
We're ready to go.
Yeah, push that. We all set? Ladies? Rita, you reading the stuff reading the meeting in now?
Yes. This is a regular meeting and public hearing being held by the Town Commission of the Town of Gulfstream on October the 8th, 2021 at 9 a.m. in the William F. Cove Jr. Commission Chambers of Town Hall, 100 C Road, Gulfstream, Florida.
All right, we're going to open the commission meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On the item 4, roll call. Rita, item 3, please.
Commissioner Lyons?
Here.
Commissioner White?
Here.
Commissioner Orthwein? Here. Vice Mayor Stanley?
Here.
And absent with notice is Mayor Morgan. And also present for this meeting are Town Manager Dunham, Town Attorney Nazaro, Police Chief Allen, and myself.
Okay, next item is approval of the minutes from our regular meeting of September 10th and then the 2 prior budget meetings of September 10th and September 22nd. Guess we need a motion for each. Or 2 motions, one for the regular and one for the budget.
I'll move to approve. Go ahead, you do it.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting for
Regular meeting,
the regular meeting,
September 10th,
September, when was it? September 10th.
2021. Have a second. Rita, can you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Lyons?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes,
Commissioner Orthwein?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley?
Yes. Then we need a motion to approve the 2 separate meetings for the minutes for the budget meetings.
I'll move to approve the budget meeting on Friday, September 10th, 2021 at 5:01.
And then the second meeting, you can do them
And the second meeting too.
Yeah. September 22nd, 2023.
2021.
Rita, can you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Lyons?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwein?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley?
Yes. Any changes to the agenda?
Yes, Vice Mayor, I'm adding under the manager's comments. As number 7, mandatory pre-proposal meeting for civil engineers to design our CIP project. That's an update on that. We're also moving item 10A to be right after 7, communication from the public. This is the second reading on our text amendments, right?
Correct.
On our text amendments that we've already passed for first reading.
Okay. Chief, you have an announcement for us before we get started?
Thank you, thank you. I would like to introduce Michael Lestrange, the newest police officer who just joined us this past Tuesday. He comes to us with many years of experience. He spent 39 years with Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. Quite a bit of that time was in community relations and community policing. So it's a good background for us.
Excellent.
Terrific. Welcome.
Thank you very much. It's an honor and privilege to be here.
Thank you.
Great, welcome.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chief. Okay, communication from the public. Anybody want to speak on a non-agenda item? Going once, going twice? Okay, no comments from the public. Just in reverse order, there's the item 6 of the meetings of the commission for November through April. Anybody wants to see those? And then we're moving on to item 10A, which is moved to after public comment, which is the reading of our ordinance 21-5.
This is an ordinance of the Town Commission of the Town of Gulfstream, Palm Beach County, Florida, amending the Town Code of Ordinances at Chapter 7, the Gulfstream Design Manual, Article 5, Area-Wide Standards, Division 1, General Architectural Standards, Section 70-100, roof and eave heights to adjust the preferred entry feature, eave and roof heights for one-story homes to comport with what was previously in the discouraged range, providing for codification and providing an effective date. It was passed on first reading September 10th, 2021, and being presented today, October the 8th, 2021, for second reading and adoption.
Any discussion on this item? Second reading. Rita, can you call a roll, or read a motion first? I'm in a hurry today.
Can I make a move to approve
motion.
ordinance 21-5?
Second, please.
Second.
Rita, can you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Lyons?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwein?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley?
Yes. Now we're on to the public hearing. Is anybody gonna, these are all quasi judicial, so I guess everyone who's gonna speak on any of the applications for development, if you can stand and be sworn in. Or if you think you're gonna speak and you're not sure, you can stand and be sworn in as well.
You swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
Okay, the first application is for, by GE Architecture for the new residence located at 3420 Gulfstream Road. Has anybody had any ex parte communication with regard to this item?
Nope.
No, other than walking by the vacant lot? No? So,
Mr. Vice Mayor, can I
Yes.
just make one comment? I did get a call from Mr. Bodker, who's the landscape architect for this this item. He wouldn't be able to be here today. He's traveling to Louisiana for a funeral. But I believe one of you guys are going to be making that presentation for him.
okay, thank you. Okay, who's gonna make the presentation on behalf of the applicant?
How do I put them? And it is this way. This is control.
So just don't point it there, yes.
Good morning. My name is Alex Hayes, and I am with GE Architecture. Our address is 1045 East Atlantic Avenue, Delray Beach. I am here today together with architect Gary Iliopoulos and Jake Iliopoulos to present on behalf on our clients, Mr. and Mrs. Gebauer. Property's address is 3420 Gulfstream Road. I would like to thank you very much for this opportunity to present. In this slide, we can see property's location. As I mentioned before, address is 3420 Gulfstream Road. Currently, empty lot is situated just west of North Ocean Boulevard, halfway between Atlantic Ocean and Gulfstream. Block to which it belongs is framed by Banyan Road to the north, Lakeview Drive to the south, and Polo Drive to the west. The neighborhood consists mostly of two-story single-family homes. In this slide, you can see proposed site plan. We highlighted required setbacks for you. Required front setback is 30 feet, side setbacks are 15 feet, and rear setback is 20 feet. Our structure complies with these regulations, plus we leave extra space at rear, where our proposed rear setback is approximately 31 feet away from the required one. In this slide, you can see proposed ground floor plan. We are coming through front courtyard and covered entry porch into representative foyer with welcoming staircase. The large opening between the foyer and following living room and dining room areas with large sliding door immediately opens the view of backyard and swimming pool. We have a small hallway of the foyer that leads to the elevator and powder room. North wing of the house consists of well-equipped kitchen, breakfast area, family room with pass-through to trellis patio with outdoor kitchen. Going through the kitchen, we are passing by pantry and full-size laundry room, and then we find ourselves in 2 cars garage with additional golf cart space. And the south wing of the house consists of bedroom at front, office at rear with the access to another trellis patio, and both of these are combined with full-size bathroom that's also going to serve as cabana bath. In this slide, we can see second floor plan. As you can see, we highlighted setbacks for you. I would like to bring to your attention the fact that second floor steps in additionally 10.5 feet in comparison with ground floor, and that creates so-called wedding cake effect. In this plan, the largest room is owner's bedroom. It has the access to large bathroom with freestanding tub, as well as big walk-in closet. It is connected to rear view balcony, and the same balcony is linked to bedroom number 3 and bedroom number 4 that will also serve as gym. Both of these have access to full-size bathroom suites and large walk-in closets. And to the east, we can see large loft with the access to front view balcony. House is designed in Bermuda style that channels island's mix of tropical vibe and British formality. Entire structure, including roof, is white, which we believe creates a perfect canvas for light and shadow play. We have a small courtyard in front of the entrance, as well as side privacy wall with decorative gates and trellis. And the house presents its formal side to the street with a pair of mahogany garage doors, as well as partially glass entry doors. We have dark aluminum shutters, dark aluminum railing, and brick pavers, all of it adding contrast to the white elevation. On both sides, you can see privacy walls with decorative gates and trellises. We highlighted setbacks for you. I would like to bring your attention to the fact that second floor steps in additional 10.5 feet in comparison with ground floor, and that creates a total distance between the exterior walls of the second floor and property lines, approximately 25 feet. In north elevation, we can see golf cart garage gate, as well as pair of double windows with aluminum shutters. These belong to family room. In this elevation, you will notice that windows are significantly reduced in both quantity and size, and this is to preserve the privacy of the neighboring home. West elevation consists mostly of large glass openings with the view of backyard and swimming pool. We have side porches, both framed by decorative trellises. In the second floor, you can see rear view balcony with dark aluminum railing that adds additional contrast to elevation. And I know that I mentioned it already, but I would like to lay emphasis on the fact that second floor steps in additional 10.5 feet in comparison with ground floor, and the total distance between second floor exterior walls and property lines is approximately 25 feet. And in south elevation, we can see the entrance to cabana bath. We can see the windows of front bedroom and rear office, side view of trellises framing covered porches, as well as side view of the front privacy wall. In the second floor, you can see French door that leads from the owner's bedroom to rear view balcony, as well as the windows of another bedroom. And again, you can observe here mentioned by me before wedding cake effect when second floor additionally steps in. The next two slides are landscape design. As it was mentioned before, our landscape designer couldn't be here today due to the death in the family, so I'm going to present on his behalf. As you can see, in front of the house, we have Sylvester date palms. Corners of the property front, these are live oaks. North, south, and west side of the property are all enclosed with existing podocarpus hedge that we are keeping. To the north and south, we added additional double solitaire palms, and this is to increase the screening of the house. At the rear, you can see another Sylvester date palm. This one is planted on axis with swimming pool and flanked by two colorful jatropha trees. On both sides of fire pit, you can see triple trunk Christmas palms. We also have some existing Erica palms at the rear that we are keeping and added by us Verawood trees. And in this slide, you can see landscape elevations. We have Sylvester date palms that are framing entry to the house. On both sides of these palms are colorful bougainvillea trees. There is also one Sylvester date palm that's on the axis with entry door. This one is going to be planted together with a bed of purple liriope. And we have live oaks that are framing the house on both sides. In north elevation, you can see existing podocarpus hedge plus added by us double solitaire palms for additional screening of the house. And at the rear, you can see Verawood trees. And south elevation, the same trees, double solitaire palms. As you can see, they almost completely block the view from the second floor windows. Last elevation is west elevation. So in the screen, we are showing the existing planting that we are leaving, which is existing podocarpus hedge, plus planting that's proposed by us. Mentioned by me before, Sylvester date palm that's going to be planted on the axis with swimming pool, and on the side, Verawood trees. However, we have another view of the west elevation for you. Jake is going to hold it for me. This elevation, the west elevation, we additionally imposed existing vegetation that belongs to the neighboring property. As you can see, these are very dense fishtail palms. We just wanted to show to you how this completely blocks the view for the neighbor of the house that we are designing. Thank you, Jake.
all see that? Can you see it?
Can you raise it a little?
That's a west elevation at the bottom.
West
there.
elevation, yes, at the bottom.
Okay.
Thank you. And the last slide, the backyard setting that we are trying to establish for our client. Trellis patios together with covered porches create an outdoor room, an entertainment area that's going to be the extension of the home. All of these rooms have the view of the large swimming pool, fire pit, and sitting area around it. That concludes my presentation. I would like to thank you again very much for this opportunity to speak in front of you. And should you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. Thank you.
I have a few questions. I think you answered the first one regarding the garage doors. What color are they going to be?
Mahogany. So we realized that it looks a little bit red in the slide. This is just the computer changing the colors that we chose, but we assure you this is going to be mahogany, not red.
Very dark.
Okay, so our interpretation of mahogany is the same as yours.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
And what color the shutters going to be, did you say?
Those are gonna be black.
Black. Rita, any comments from neighbors?
None.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Questions,
No,
comments?
I had the same question as,
Yeah, so shy.
but you said mahogany, I heard it. I heard the mahogany, so I was going, okay, cute.
And do we have a sample of the
Mahogany?
tile for the roof? Is it through and through white? What is?
It's a Bermuda concrete tile colored through white.
So we'll see a sample of that? Just because we've had,
We will before they put it
Right,
on.
before the
Okay.
permit.
because sometimes there's some confusion what that is.
Really?
Yeah. Been a while.
Years ago.
And I understand you better order it now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, even off-site. Can you all just go over the south elevation again? Because, this one has got a kind of unique site plan because the other house just to the south actually back the back of that house and the pool backs up to the south elevation of this house. I see how you kind of scaled the windows or not to look more like a front, even though there's adequate landscaping. But can you just highlight that again for everybody?
Okay, for the record, Gary Leopolis, address 1045 East Atlantic Avenue. So what happens is, as Alex already explained, it does have a wedding cake effect. We kind of did it on every single elevation, especially on this one. We do have the lower portion that's projecting out. The second floor actually shifts back a minimum of 10 feet. It's a little bit more than 10 feet. But to the right, what you would see, which would be on that east side, is actually, now this is the south elevation. That's when you want to talk about that. So what happens is we do have a entry courtyard. That's an additional 15 feet north. So it's actually not even close to the property line. So you're looking at a good 25 feet off the property line. When you go to the left, we have a trellis, open trellis terrace that's actually off of our client's office. Above it's another open. So really what happens is you don't even see our covered area where people would be entertaining. Right underneath that trellis along the left-hand side, it's a solid wall. Beyond that's actually their covered area. So again, we're actually isolating all the activities further away from the abutting neighbors.
Any other questions on that? That's kind of the only one I'd say kind of unique site condition here.
Yeah.
And then the color of the house, that's supposed to be, just back to the facade, that's supposed to be what, an off-white?
Yeah, it's Arcadia white. It's
Arcadia
a-
white, yeah.
Yeah.
Everything's pretty uniform. Any other questions or comments from the staff?
No, sir.
Nothing else that, okay. Any questions on the landscape plan or the front driveways? Or we don't
Actually, it looks,
move on?
the front driveway, yeah, I think it looks good.
She sounds very surprised.
No, I'm not surprised. It's a great improvement than what was there years ago.
There you
What's that?
We can only go up.
Well, no, it looks good.
Yeah, and I sort of like the circular drive.
Yeah.
You can get the cars off the street. It's a little more useful. We have had some different kind of driveway patterns that have been a little, I would say they just haven't been that practical in the past. So I know you highlighted that in the written application as well. So, okay.
Okay, yeah, I think it looks lovely. I like these trellises in back too. I think they add a nice touch.
I think your landscape plan is really good. Actually, it looks good.
Thank you.
A lot of
As long as there's
hedging,
no hurricane involved.
a lot of hedging, which is good.
A lot of hedging. And I think the west hedging is a great idea.
Thank you.
Okay.
Let's see, the first motion is to approve a level 3 architectural site plan review based on findings of the construction of a 5,365 square foot, including 222 square feet of covered open space that exceeds the maximum permitted FAR Gulfstream Bermuda 2-story single-family dwelling with a 2.5-car garage and swimming pool. Spa meets the minimum intent of design manual and applicable review standards with the following conditions. Do I have to read all these? Okay, number 1, any minor modifications to the approved landscaping shall be submitted to the town manager for review and approve, and any major modifications shall be brought back to the ARPB for review and approval. prior to the commencement of landscaping. Number 2 is prior to the issuance of certificate of occupancy, the owner of the property shall prepare and record a deed restriction, shall provide that all roof projection areas shall remain unenclosed as per approval of special exception for as long as the structure is in existence or exceeds the maximum permitted FAR.
Second,
Second,
Rita, can you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Lyons,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
yes.
Commissioner Orthwyne,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley.
Yes.
Second is motion to approve a second exception to permit 222 square feet of covered open space that exceeds the maximum permitted FAR.
Second,
Rita, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Lyons.
Yes.
Commissioner White.
yes.
Commissioner Orthwyne,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley.
Yes.
How do we keep, like, in the future that they can enclose that? Is it come with the deed of the property? Is that
It will be recorded.
Yeah.
on the deed?
Right.
It's a
Okay.
separate instrument.
Okay, thank you. I'm just curious.
Okay, thank you very much. Looks great. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're moving on to, I talked to the town clerk about this. So we've got 3 applications for 3 separate houses at the Blue Water Cove development. And I came up with this idea this morning, which should only take about 3 minutes. So before we actually start each individual application, which stands on its own, I just was wondering if the architect could come up and just give like a synopsis of each house as we would be looking at it from the street verbally, and we can pull our things out for a minute or 2, and then we'll go into the first application. And I didn't tell Trey, so that's why he's looking at me funny. I did tell Rita.
Good morning, I'm Paul Corshane with Corshane Development, and Carrie and I are partners in the development of Blue Water Cove. Carrie's gonna be handling the development, and I'll be responsible for the home design and construction for all the homes in Blue Water Cove. So to give you an overall, we are coming in with 3 applications, having different architectural, if you can, please.
To the right.
So you've got all your.
Yeah, our first home, which is on lot 1. So do you want me to gloss over the?
Yeah,
first?
just real quick, because we always kind of refer back, but once
Okay.
we're in the middle of one application, we've got to stay with that one.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there's 3 homes in the development. Let me go here.
I assume it's mahogany.
I was just.
Once again, it's mahogany. It is mahogany.
Red on all the TVs.
Okay,
The ARPB asks the same question.
okay. We're getting in the no now.
All right, technical difficulties, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we might not be able to go back and forth. We might just have to do it on paper.
Okay, so it's a little small, but you can see the,
I'm sorry, I just messed it up. There you go.
all right,
Go for it.
we're good?
Should be.
Let's go to the next one, okay. You can see Blue Water Cove, which is just north of Place Soleil, 14 lots. We're gonna be putting up 3 homes. One is on lot 1, which is the northern lot as you enter the development, or I should say the street. And also we'll have it to the right of the blue lot, which is lot 2. And the third house is on lot 14, which is on the south side of the street. So there'll be 3 homes immediately as you come into the development. The first home is on lot 1, and we are doing a Gulfstream Bermuda style 1-story home. And I'm gonna flip through here. And on lot 2, adjacent to the 1-story, is a 2-story colonial West Indies home. And then across the street on lot 14 is our Anglo-Caribbean 1-story home. So those are the 3 homes that will be built, hoping to start in this spring. to be completed in the fall.
You know what I'm trying to figure out, and I apologize, it's probably a dumb question, but I forget how many lots you have.
There's 14 total lots. Yes, 2 on the water and 12 dry lots. Yeah.
And I was looking at the arrangement of these 3 that are in front of me. It's going to be a challenge to sort of mix them up. How do you accomplish that? Because, all of a sudden I'm thinking, are we going to exponentially take all these 3 and do it across so what's the big picture, I guess, is my question.
So the big picture, we are going to be putting 2 furnished models. So on lot 1 and lot 14, and then there'll be a spec on lot 2. And from those homes, we're going to be doing variations from there. So we are not just doing cookie cutter houses on all the lots. We'll be doing variations when clients want, changes for floor plan or elevation. So we want to mix up all the architecture so that it's not all the same. So we are definitely sensitive to that and want it to be all unique homes.
And what about the entrance? I noticed, I like the fact that the 3 have the garages on the side. Having said that, does that mean that the entrance to each of one of these 14 houses is going to have the same center pathway, and then to the right, the garage, or is that going to?
I mean, we're going to be flexible with that, depending on the floor plan that the customers are wanting to have. So every home will be either based off of these 3 homes or a variation of. So we've done other communities like this where it's, they're custom homes. We use these as our models, and then from there we customize for our clients.
Thank you.
Okay. I think that's all we need, and then we can get moving so Trey doesn't keep staring at all at once.
Can I just ask
Sure,
a question?
general question, sure.
Also on the general. It seemed to me from the paperwork that the position of the house on the lot is centered on the lot. Now, so I guess that leads to the question about the entrance. Are they all going to be like on the center of the lot with a driveway, or can they be juxtapositioned, back or side, so that it gives some idea of variation when you're driving down the block?
The lot, each house will be sited individually on each lot. So again, depending on the final floor plan for each house, I don't think we would be rotating it to be, we want to keep the house pretty much square with the street. But I don't know if I'm answering your question.
Well, yeah, I guess I live in Plaza Soleil. When you see the houses, they're all placed differently. And I guess that was my question.
Right, and a lot of those lots are on roads that curve.
Yeah.
So being that the street is straight, I think architecturally, more or less in town here, they'll be parallel with the street.
Okay, but they could be forward and back, so that you don't get that. I'm just talking about the uniformity of design, which I think was part of the last question.
Okay.
Yeah, circular driveway.
Yeah.
Elaborate on that. So the previous home we just looked at had a curved driveway.
Yes.
2 garages fronting the road.
Correct.
And while I just stated that I prefer it on the side, to avoid the cookie cutter, are you going to have some that will have the garage looking to the street with a curved?
Again, that's open for discussion with our future buyers, but I'm anticipating that there would be some front entry garages. And if people want to have a circular driveway, that would be something that we would offer as well.
Well, so what I'm trying to get at, Tom, is how do we avoid having a cookie cutter? I mean, it's a question. It's not a criticism.
Future homeowners, right?
Well, sure. So lay the predicate here. There, you've got 3 houses here in the front to get the project going. These three as proposed do not have circular driveways. Obviously we're getting into the applications, but, and then, we permit obviously garage doors that face the street or on the side. So you are trying to map out, the other 9 lots, what they're going to look like, almost siting them all at once. Is this a front garage or not? And if it's going to be every third or every one or checkerboard, which is hard to do. I guess what Mr. Courchain is saying, which, they've run into with some of these other projects, is that these homes are being built by the developer. There are some plans that they're going to have, which we also will have on file, but then also when the homeowners come in, we've seen in this market that the houses almost look like quasi-custom or fully custom. So, I think you just have to take it in sections and make sure. We're not doing, there's benefits to doing it all at once, and there's benefits, which is not going to happen, not required to, and there's benefits to doing it in steps.
I think you're going to have to trust that not 9 more people are going to want the same exact cookie cutter home. That's probably never going to happen. I don't think.
I'm just trying to anticipate.
Unless something weird happens in the world.
Right. Again, we're sensitive to that, and whether, it's changes of window locations. Let's say that somebody likes one of the plans, with the Anglo-Saxon, maybe it ends up being a Bermuda style. So that totally changes the look of the home.
I think you don't want to look like some of the home developments out west in Boca. Nothing against them, but they're all the same color, and that's what you don't want. But I don't think that would happen with these.
I'm just trying to look ahead. I don't want to find the developer in front of us and you've built 8 homes and we're saying now that the next, see if I can do the math right, 6 homes, you're going to have to do this and that because the other ones are too similar. You get what I'm getting at. Because I think the mission statement is that we don't want cookie cutter, correct? And I don't think you do either, so I don't mean to suggest.
The code provides you can't have, 2 houses
Similar.
next door that look
Within
exactly
500
the same.
feet.
Yeah.
So, which these are.
So, well, I guess what I'm doing is I'm sort of setting the stage for future discussion, so there's no confusion.
Good morning, Kerry Gligstein. As Paul was alluding to, our objectives are mutually aligned. In the end, we would like this street to look like it's been there for a long time. That said, there are trade-offs in design and lot composition. The text amendment that was approved earlier today was in part supportive of single-story homes, to encourage single-story homes. When you build single-story homes, they're just the application you had earlier, that 2-story home is occupying less real estate because you've got part of the house stacked on top of the other. So you may have more room for those kinds of driveways. But with single-story houses, just by definition, there's less room for some of those alternatives. So some of these are design trade-offs. Would you prefer single-story homes? Would you prefer side-loaded garages? Would you prefer, versus the alternatives? But as Paul said, our objective is to complete this project and people to drive down the street and not see duplicative houses. There will not be a house on this street that's the same as another house on the street. There's a lot of ways to vary these elevations. Color, roofs, shutters, windows, floor plans are going to dictate a lot of that. But the driveway locations too, if that's your preference, there's going to be a lot in here, I think, when everything's said and done, to allay your concern about conformity.
Great, thank you.
Any other general questions before we get started with the applications? Okay, application 21-20 is the first one on the agenda for Blue Water Cove.
Okay, so our first home is lot 1. Again, it's the first lot as you come into the community on the north side. It's a Gulfstream one-story Bermuda. Oops. Again, site plan showing location of the home.
You're doing one for everybody.
This is showing the site plan that we're conforming with all the setback requirements on all sides. And again, showing that it's a side entry garage, so you don't have the garage doors facing the street. The one-story home is a great room plan, 4 bedrooms plus a club room, and 2.5 car garage with a large covered patio. So the coloration that we're doing is a white windows, charcoal flat tile roof, mahogany front door, not red as shown. And the shutters are they're darker than what's shown there. It's called Newberry Port Blue on the shutters. This shows the rear elevation and the large covered patio and pool area. So again, these are the front, on top is the front elevation of the home and the rear elevation. And on the sides, you can see the top is the right or east elevation and the west elevation on the bottom with a privacy wall for the master bathroom. And I'm going to ask Louis to come up with the landscaping.
Good morning, Louis Vlahos, landscape architect, Majestic Views. Basically, to keep with the island code, we're introducing certain palms like coconuts, Aranetias, Montgomerys, and so forth. In the front of the lots, we have a streetscape plan, which is large oaks. Each lot gets 3 oaks. In the rear of the property, we have a landscape buffer agreement, and there is some green buttonwoods back there, 4 to 5 foot hedge of clusias. And what's not indicated on these plans, because they're indicated in the buffer, which is to the north, there's an additional screening of areca palms. That said, basically on this home right here, we have some coconuts that we're introducing in the front around the walkway up against the building and the entry. We have the Araneta palms and then some small Japanese blueberries that basically play off with the elevation. In the back, again, we have the screening of the green buttwoods on either side, some Montgomery palms in the center, with additional textural and flowering materials like hibiscus, Bromeliad imperialis, and so forth. That said, which one is it called? This one is it? Oh, this one, okay. Oh.
All these materials according to code. I don't know what, I mean, I know we allow slate, but I don't know what it's.
And here we are, just basically indicating the top elevation is the front elevation. The only thing that we're not indicating on this one, so we didn't block the palms and how we're working with the elevations, was the additional oak in the center of the property. But then beyond that, you can see the large coconuts, the Aranetias in the front, you know, the smaller Japanese blueberries on either side of the window, and so forth. In the back, you have the green buttonwoods. That's the second one down, with the Montgomery palms in the center. And again, the hedge that we're using is clusia, and it'll be 4 to 5 foot upon installation. And then you can see the side elevations, the other two in the rear back there, basically screening the windows and playing off with the elevations. That said, any questions?
Looks great.
We tried with variation to kind of break it and also give it the island, effect. And talking to what we said earlier, each home will be custom landscape, pool design, and so forth per owner. We'll be dealing with the owners individually. So there will be variety in the landscape. It's not going to be whether we just change the material, or the whole design. It's going to be customized.
Just going back to what everyone was talking about, would it be worthwhile to try to do a circular driveway on one of these 3 homes? I mean, just to show it. I mean, it's not, you don't have to, but just to start the process of making things a little different, just because they all look the same. This way. The walkway coming in. I'm just looking at all 3 of them. I guess.
Well, so this one's a little harder because it's 1 story.
Yeah, no, I'm not
Yeah.
saying, I'm just saying one of them. I'm not saying which one.
Paul?
We could look into that and see which one would work better for a circular driveway. Yeah.
I mean, it's the commission's, I was just saying, just to start the process of having something a little different.
I don't,
To be honest with you, and just to say, if putting a driveway in the front, minimum of 12 feet, whatever, would really reduce the landscape,
Okay.
To the building.
No,
And we're trying to complement that at this point. If someone really wanted a circular driveway, then yes, and we would have to bring it to you. But in our professional opinion, the way we looked at it, these buildings will look better the way we have with more landscape in the front rather than having the whole front being taken over by, a circular driveway. So
that's fine. I
just
it was
saying.
just a thought.
I had no perspective sitting on the commission here as it relates to building out 14 lots. I haven't gone through that experience. I'm deferring a little bit to Tom. I think he's more knowledgeable about it. I certainly believe that you guys have done this before. And, you're delivering the message. It's not going to look cookie cutter. And I don't think you want to build a development that way.
Absolutely not.
And so, for me to say, well, maybe, and I apologize, I started this.
Just trying, I mean.
A curved driveway is a solution, but maybe that's not the right solution to avoid.
Right,
cookie cutter.
right.
So, but you understand that what we
Totally.
want to avoid, so.
We've done this before.
Yeah.
And none of them look the same when it was all said and done, so.
Well, and you have to remember some areas and plan unit developments, they don't even permit front-facing garages at all.
Yeah.
Everything has to be the same. Obviously, we've got a little more flexibility, but I think the other thing too with this home, can you go back to the location slides on this PowerPoint? I guess Paul has that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so, then I think Commissioner White's probably interested. So you're coming in, so this is the front of the development. Okay, this is the first house to the left, right? So you're either walking in or you're driving in. So these are the first 3 homes you're gonna see. So then if you orientate yourself, we're talking about the streetscape here. Obviously the plan looks great and the coloring is pretty good and all that stuff. So you're gonna have your first story, your 1-story home, which you're encouraging, more 1-story than 2-story.
Correct.
We want that all over town to the extent we can.
Correct.
So you're coming in, so the low So you walk in, you're driving on the driver's side, or you're walking, and you come in making the turn right. You've got the two-story home instead of, I mean, the one-story home instead of the two-story home right on the corner looking down at you. So I assume there was some thought maybe put into that some way, shape, or form. And obviously you've got with the one-story home, although it's got a little bit more massing on the front, it's lower, and you still have the landscaping. So you definitely don't want a circular driveway probably right when you're turning right, you know, into the neighborhood. You're going to go up, and that's why it's been orientated obviously to the east side. You make the turn, you've got the one-story house on the left, minimal massing, and then the driveway for the whatever type of family or owner or what have you, single person is going to be in, and then they're going to turn left at the east side of the lot. So they're out of the street, they're out of the corner and going left. So for this application, which stands on its own, I mean, you probably there's numerous reasons other than a traffic study and all that stuff, and setbacks and where your curb cuts are, but this is the house you want there with no circular driveway.
Yeah, we definitely put a lot of thought into it, and exactly like you're saying, we wanted to have a one-story as you come in, and then the two-story right next door to the east. So we did put a lot of thought into it, and our overall thought as far as driveways, we're trying to minimize the hardscape and maximize the green. So you know, I mean, as a builder and developer, you know, I encourage the side entry car garage because you're not seeing the garage doors, and also not having a circular because you're having more green space, more landscaping in the front. So it's a much softer, more lush look than having it. Not to say that we're not going to do any, you know, circular driveways, thank you. But I think at the end of the day, I think the overall look will be more lush, more green, having a single driveway. But again, we're not going to be discouraging that, but that's how we came up with these plans.
So as far as this lot's concerned, this is just a comment to the rest of the commissioners. I'm looking at the plat here, which is a little bit easier to see. You know, you've got the track B, which is as you're coming in, and then this is lot 1. If y'all are looking at your plat, which gives you a little bit of orientation. I mean, you're coming right in. There's a kind of circular cul-de-sac there, but you're coming in and turning right. So, I mean, so this is what you're seeing when you're coming in either on foot, by golf cart, or by car, immediately to your left. So, I mean, obviously the traffic, you know, the counter argument would be, well, there's a cul-de-sac there, and this shouldn't be a highway. You know, what do we got? 1 car an hour? I don't know. So that would be the counter argument. But I think, you know, the way it's laid out, you probably want, again, the most green space in the front, and then obviously get the cars off the street on the east side of the lot as you're making the turn for traffic and whatnot. You know, also maybe minimize having to drive slow signs with a little flag out front, although owners are allowed to do that while the kids are outside. You do see that. Any other questions as to the site plan on this one, the layout? Nope. Staff have any other
First
comments?
impressions.
Yeah. So, I personally like the color scheme on this one. It's sort of my color palette. So,
Okay.
blue and white, you know, that's sort of a Monday morning color as well. So, anything else?
That's good.
No, I think it's a pretty design. I like the
Thank you.
colors too.
No, I think the colors are great.
Okay, so I think on the first 1-story home, as you turn in, this is application 2120. We're ready for some motions.
I'll move to approve the level 3 architectural site plan based on findings of the construction of a 5464 square foot Gulfstream Bermuda 1-story single family dwelling with a 2-car garage and swimming pool meets the minimum intent of the design manual and applicable review standards with the following conditions. Any minor modifications to the approved landscaping shall be submitted to the town manager for review and approval, and any major modifications shall be brought back to the ARPB for review and approval prior to the commencement of landscaping.
We have a second. Rita, can you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Lyons?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwine?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that's it on this one. There's just one motion, correct? Or we have-
Yeah.
It looks like it.
All right, now we're moving on to the next agenda item, which is the separate application. This is application, let me get back here. 2121, correct. It's not on my book here. You working? Oh, that one, okay. Okay. Little late. Yeah. You ready for me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, great. Our second home is on lot 2, a 2-story colonial West Indies. We'll go to the site plan. Again, it's the adjacent lot to lot 1 to the east on the north side. And the site plan here shows that we are conforming with all setback requirements, also showing the side entry garage. Floor plan, also a great room floor plan with, let's see, we have 2 bedrooms downstairs and 2 bedrooms up, 2.5-car garage. The second floor has been stepped in and centered on the architecture as shown. As far as finishes, we're doing a cedar shake roof on the home, and we've got some soft colors on the home, dove white on the upper floor, and Alaskan, it's more of a beigey on the first floor with light blue shutters, and again, a mahogany door with glass on top. And all the accent trim will be white. The windows are white, and the brackets and corbels are all going to be white. Showing the rear elevation with the large covered patio, entertaining area, and pool area. Side elevations, that would be the east on the top and the west on the bottom. And I'm going to turn it over to Louis for the landscape.
Basically, the similarities here are really the oaks that we have in the front that continue down the whole street, the green buttonwoods in the rear that's part of the approved and acceptable landscape buffer. And again, just to note, there's the areca hedge off our property that we're not indicating on here. Other than that, the Clusia hedge is consistent for privacy. On this model here, we introduced some coconuts in the front to kind of break down the scale of the second story, some ligustrum trees on either side, complementing the architectural elevation, some juniper Spartans to give us a vertical effect, but human scale. That's in the front with mixed landscape underneath. This one's kind of unique. We're introducing some topiary balls around the court area and the front as an accent with some low jasmine ground cover. As we move to the rear, we have a a couple of Coca-Cola pigeon plums, and then 3 single matching foxtail palms where the pool area is, and then on either side where you're looking outside the game room and outside the master bedroom, we have some adenitas to give them a focal point there. Underneath, repeating color and so forth. That's it, basically. Any questions? Again, trying to mix it up and.
So if you can go back to this, we have a slide with just the front elevation again, which is, yeah, which is similar to what everybody has here, the commissioners. Yeah, one more. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so this house, you know, just so you go back in our memory banks, if everybody remembers. So it's very somewhat similar. So when they tore down the Rambling Ranch on Oleander and North Ocean and replatted it into 2 lots, the house to the south side, which is right over here, is somewhat similar to this. Obviously, there's you know, Oleander in the back, it's got a guest house, a little bit deeper lot, all the other good stuff. We know that. So when that house came up, remember it was too modern. It had like wire, some sort of modern wire railing up the top. And so we came back, I think I said, make it older. So this immediately is a similar design with the color scheme even. And it, you know, conforms to the code. So, you know, you've got brackets, you've got the overhang, you've got the correct railing in the front. Now that house, both of those houses, and I use the term practical when we had our general discussion before we started, those houses, because of, you know, North Ocean versus a street in the back, which you don't have here, have driveways in the front that don't work that well. One of them actually was a hammerhead that had to be added onto. So if you drive by today, since we're into driveways this month and next month, you know, take a look at it when you're going about your business. Beautiful, both beautiful houses. You know, I know the people that own them as well as we all do. So this one here, you know, if you're like, okay, you know, is it an opportunity to put a circular drive in? This house, these lots, I think, are a little wider. Obviously, the ones on the North Ocean ones are deeper. You know, it can be pressed. You know, and I'm a big parking guy. You know, everybody has 5 cars and they don't use their garages. So, you know, again, we're trying to keep cars off the street. You know, you want to be able to back in and out. You usually park in front of your garage doors on the side, or, you know, unless you've got something going on or a golf cart. You know, there's not many cars in the garages. So on this one, I just want to point out kind of a similar situation in town, although it's very far away, you know, opposite of the water. Now this lot is wider, obviously, than those. So that's my one comment on that. I think the house and the color scheme looks good. So I'll open it up. Anybody else have any comments? I just wanted to point that out.
I think it's nice to have a cedar shake roof for a change. I mean, it's different.
Well, I
like them too.
I agree with Ms. Northwine that all 3 houses, you know, the designs are dissimilar, textures are dissimilar, colors, tones, architecture, etc. So I want to pull back my comment on circular driveways. I don't want to keep going back there. That was just an observation, not a recommendation. And there's a lot of, you know, it's balancing all these different things I'm trying to achieve. I'll say it again, I love having where I live in the village of Southampton, we had a small piece of property and we had to put our garage sideways. There's no option, you have to. Right. And that's the view in that particular village or town. And I think it looks a lot better. By the way, I have a circular driveway in Polo, and I have my garage looking out on Polo. And quite frankly, I'd rather have the garage sideways, but there's no way to do it at this point. My brother has a similar house, but he closes circular and has a driveway like this. And frankly, his looks better than mine. So I'm gonna get away from circular driveways.
I just want to add, because I think sometimes when we talk about circular driveway, it's really adding the additional parking. And we have ample room in the side driveway if they needed additional parking to expand it towards the rear and get 2 additional parking spaces. If needed, if the 2 parking spaces in the garage and whatever's there wasn't sufficient for the owners, they needed additional. We could go that route and not necessarily start introducing circular driveways. But if they want one, it's their problem.
Anybody have any comments on the the west elevation of this house versus the east elevation of the 1-story we just approved? You can see the wing here. It's 1-story, which is butting up against, obviously with the appropriate setbacks there to the 1-story, which is intentional. Anybody have any questions on that? Other than that's probably the way you want it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any comments by staff on this one?
No, sir.
Any other comments by the commissioners?
No.
Everyone's aware of the color. So this is going to be, as far as the roof type goes, this is going to be actually traditional cedar shake, not a composite.
Yes, correct.
Okay. And everyone here is okay with the color scheme, which is, conforms to, pretty neutral.
It's neutral. It's pretty.
Okay. I think we're ready to make some motions if someone's ready.
Okay. Thanks, man. I make a motion to approve a level 3 architectural site plan based on a finding that the construction of a 5,457 square foot colonial West Indies 2-story single-family dwelling with a 2-car garage and swimming pool meets the minimum intent of the design manual and applicable review standards with the following condition. Any minor modifications to the approved landscaping shall be submitted to the town manager for review and approval, and any major modification shall be brought back to the ARPB for review and approval prior to commencement of landscaping.
Second.
Rita, can you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Lyons?
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwein?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanton?
Yes. Okay, we're moving on to the third application, which is, I think, 21-22.
Correct.
All right, so this is our third one for the day in the last. Lot 14, driving into the community. It's the first house on the right side, on the south side of the street. And this design is designed with the Anglo-Caribbean thought in mind, and 1-story home. Here's a site plan showing lot 14. Once again, we've complied with all the setback requirements. 1-story home, great room plan, large covered patio, 4 bedrooms, and a large club room off of the covered patio. 2.5-car garage, large kitchen with a separate scullery and oversized laundry room off of that as well. Color scheme is basically going to be white. The house is going to be white. The roof tile will be color through white concrete roof tile. And the shutters are in your packet. It's called October Mist, so a nice sagey green color. View from the back. And also the east and west elevations. And I'm going to turn that over to Louis.
Good morning again. Basically, Going back, we have the 3 oaks in the front, and on the right side, which is the west side, there's 4 oaks there. That's part of the entry landscape plan and buffer that we're indicating there. The green buttonwoods in the rear, but basically in the front, on either side of the covered entry that we come in, it's a tight space. We have some triple Alexander palms because they're compact and thin trunks and so forth coming up on either side. Montgomery palms on the other 2 ends of the elevation with little gem magnolias just to stay in scale and just complement on either side of the windows, complement the architectural elevations. In the front, on this one, we added some bougainvillea trees, standards, 6 to 7 foot for color. And so forth. On either side of the covered entry, the understory is basically going to be textural and leafy because it is going to be somewhat shady on the north end. And on the other sides, basically just some podocarpus pringles with some ficus green island and so forth. Going back in the rear, we have some Adoniria palms, Montgomery palms, 3 doubles where the extent of the pool, with a couple of bougainvilleas for color, and then flowering and low ground cover material thereafter, tearing down from the proposed clusia hedge that we're basically using for our major screening. That said, any questions?
And this is going to have the, again, for the plan, it'll have the 3 oaks with the one centered in the.
Yes, one centered with the building. We're not showing that in the elevation because it will block obviously everything else.
Yeah.
But that's in the front, and this one has additional 4 on the west side because it's part of the entry landscape.
Can I make a motion?
Sure. Any discussion on this one? 2 one-story houses as you enter the development. We have a couple of houses that are similar, which are way, way far away, and those have been compromised due to keeping banyan trees. They have 2 one-car, or one has 2 one-car garages on each side. Obviously, with a clean palette, you don't want to do that if you don't have to. Any other questions? Yes.
I probably should have brought this up when you were looking at house number 1, but I noticed the tiles over there along the wall. They brought roof tiles for all 3 houses. And I believe when we were talking about the first house, you were saying it was white tile?
First house is charcoal.
First house is the charcoal, yeah.
I know, but I think, didn't he say white?
No.
I think that was on the Polo Drive.
That was Mr. Eliopoulos.
Oh.
Yeah, it was it was the first house.
Oh, no, that was the one on Polo
Yeah.
Drive. We did not have a sample for it.
Which tile there is the gray?
That's for lot 1.
Joel, like that? I mean,
Is that the tile? I mean, is that the standard, if there is a standard, slate tile? I can't see. I mean, it's reflecting, the light's reflecting off it. I can't tell.
It's made to look like slate, sort of. Is that what the intention is?
The colors.
Yeah,
It's
slate.
charcoal.
Yeah.
Charcoal roof.
But they're all different colors of gray.
then that's fine.
That's a darker gray.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's a little darker.
Yeah, it looks like slate.
Right.
Right, so you've got gray, you've got cedar shake, and then on the other house, as you come in, you've got the white tile.
Right, on the south side.
White through and through, which is up for approval now.
Can I make a motion then?
Any other comments?
I think I do see a lot of differentiation in the 3 models, especially on these renderings this morning with the paint colors. It's quite obvious. You know.
Great, thank you.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve a level 3 architectural site plan based on the finding that a construction of 5,460 square feet, Anglo-Caribbean, one-story, single-family dwelling with a two-car garage, swimming pool meets the minimum intent of the design manual, the applicable review standards with the following conditions. 1, any minor modifications to the approved landscaping shall be submitted to town manager for review and approval, and any major modification shall be brought back to the ARPB for review and approval prior to the commencement of landscaping. Second?
Second?
Rita, can you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Lyons,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
Yes.
Commissioner Rosewater,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanton.
Yes.
May I make a comment?
Certainly.
By the way, I think this presentation was very professional.
Oh, thank you.
And I'll cite a couple of things that maybe in the future others can follow. One, I can read the numbers. Frankly, the first application, I had to bring out a magnifying glass to read what the numbers were. So I can read the numbers and
Okay.
they're organized in a very thoughtful way. Having the text, I mean, this is great. In fact, I think we should make this a.
I know, this is
requirement.
really good.
I mean, this is really, I mean, you get
Yeah.
a real good sense. So, thank you. I mean,
Great.
that's.
Well, we want to thank you, and if there's anything, any questions or anything, feel free to contact me directly. I'm available, and we'll be working together, hopefully, not hopefully, but for a while, so.
Can I ask a
And I-
question?
Yes.
When do you expect the first one, or they're all gonna be built the same time, I
Well,
assume?
the three,
Yeah.
yes, we'll be getting those.
When do you think?
So
do you
we're
have any
still
estimated-
waiting, for our final approvals, which we're
The-
hoping.
Yeah,
Commissioners, we talked.
Yeah,
about right now,
okay.
we're waiting for, Army Corps release,
I-
which is imminent. Their definition of imminent is different than all of ours, but and that would be for the site work. But I expect that we're going to be submitting for building permits, having received your approvals today, by the way.
okay.
As Paul said earlier, looking to start. It'd be great to be out of the ground sometime before the end of the year.
Oh, wow, okay,
Whether Delray cooperates in terms of
yeah.
issuing a permit, that's another,
Mhm,
that's another question.
Is it, can I ask price point? Just curiosity
I'm sorry?
for taxes.
The price point
Yes.
is probably gonna help everyone. We're figuring we're gonna be starting in $3 million price point.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
So
And
the prices will be going up from there, I'm sure.
I'm looking
It's a
at
feature,
revenue,
isn't it?
taxes, you know.
And on behalf of the staff, we've worked really hard with them.
Yes.
And we've made a lot of suggestions. They've listened to us, and it's been a good, we've had good communications with them. And I think that it's turned out very good products.
Yeah, and we appreciate all the staff, all of you working with us, and it's been a pleasure, really has. Very professional.
Probably easy for you, Gary, because you're probably taking painkillers, so it's not too bad.
Taking painkillers for 6 years while I was sitting in your chair. I really would echo
Right.
what Paul was saying too, having worked with, sometimes bureaucracy is the death knell of both progress and things that turn out really beautiful. And we've made more progress dealing with the town without a planning department, without, the staff, and just having people that are pragmatic, but they're also very protective of what you have here. So it has been a pleasure working with Greg, Rita, and Trey. We appreciate the suggestions, the communications. We're going to be back in here another 9 times, and if there's something that you think you'd like to promote or suggest, always easier on the front end than the back end, but we're open to your suggestions, and it's been a pleasure working with all of you.
They've been great to work with, so.
Oh, this is great.
All right, thank you. Yeah,
Thank you.
Very good products to start off with. Okay. We are
I'm gonna take the.
We are on to reports by the town manager.
Okay, thank you. The first one, of course, is always utility undergrounding. And so where we're at right now is the Cypress Communications with Comcast. My goodness, just went blank. So they have a meeting on Tuesday, and they'll be discussing. They're to the point now. They're discussing splicing and then the cutover to the new lines and the underground lines, and then wrecking their old ones. And the goal is for them to be done with that by the end of this month. So that's the goal. So, but I have been talking with their contractor, Cypress Communications, and that's what they would like they would like to be done by the end of October.
So is that for just the cutover on the part of the system they had to rebuild in the north part of town, or the cutover and the wrecking?
No, the wrecking would be included in that.
Okay.
Now, of course, then FP&L comes in and takes down the utility poles. So, they would be done but at the time that they take down all of their utilities, and then FP&L would come in and take the poles down.
Do we have any indication,
What time?
FPL? So thank goodness we haven't had a storm, knock on wood.
Okay, so I'll tell you a little bit about FP&L. So FP&L, we're working on kind of the same timeline as the Comcast. So the plan now is for them to have their new poles out or begin to start putting them out around the end of October. This would be from Gulfview to up here to Sea Road here. So and so they have to put the new poles in before they take the old ones out. And so we're working on pretty much the same schedule. So I've been working with FP&L all this time so that whenever Comcast is ready, they would be ready for their construction also. So we're looking at the end of October for those two things to take place. And
well, as far as the pole removal, like what type of disruption is that, since presumably that might be the bulk of the season? I mean, obviously you have trucks taking the poles out, but is this going to be kind of block by block, a couple of trucks? Or?
Well, my understanding is that from FP&L that they believe that would take about 3 weeks.
Okay, so pretty fast.
Right. So that's where we are with that. And then the water meter installations, I believe we're complete with that. We had a few issues on some houses that were getting outlandish type of readings, but I think we've worked through that, and those basically now are complete. So,
so is this month's readings, we're all on the wand and all that stuff?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
So, but as I said, I mean, we had a handful we had some issues with it, but it's almost like a matter of a decimal point being in the wrong place.
Okay.
So,
so we're like ready where if something's running or broken and the owner doesn't know it, we get notified in the system, or?
No, not yet.
Did I
We
make?
haven't had training for that.
Okay, but we're getting, now that we're all installed and we can make the readings, and we're moving on with that sort of stuff.
right.
Okay.
So,
We'll actually be able to go to each individual meter if we had to and zap it, and it'll give us the history of 96 days of history.
Perfect.
So, and then an update on the check valves. I'm going to have Mr. Nazaro give you an update on that. Oh, yeah.
So I'm just showing you the locations of the various check valves, or the outfalls rather, that we're installing check valves on. 2 months ago, we brought this award to the commission, and the next week, Anthony and myself went and walked the entire project with the contractor to show him the exact physical location of all the outfalls. He then brought in a 2-man crew to actually get in the water and take measurements to confirm exactly the size of the check valves to be ordered. And those have been ordered. A number of them were standard size. So last week he installed the valves at 4, 5, and 6. That's along Banyan. An additional delivery of check valves occurred this week, and he'll be back on Tuesday to install check valves at number 3, 8, and 9. We had some custom valves that needed to be worked due to some issues that came up, but we have resolved those through working with our engineer, the valve manufacturer, and the contractor doing the installation. Those are at 1, 2, and 10. So that's at 600 Right Way. Number 2 is a check valve located on our pump system that hooks into the Little Club. And then the last one at 540 Palm Way. So we have come up with some issues that we needed to address, but we were able to manage that. A change order was executed, which is about a 5% increase in the cost of the project. The original contract price being about $85,000. So, we're on par to get that done here soon. With the last custom valves being installed, it looks like we're going to get them delivered early November, and the contractor has been very flexible. As soon as the valves come in, he comes in and gets the job done. So it's been nice working with him, and that's our update on that.
Okay. Gatehouse Survey.
Yes, and I'm going to turn to Mr. Nazaro again for that.
Thank you, Mr. Denham. So we have approximately 42 properties located in the beachfront zoning district. 11 of those have minor accessory structures that are visible from the street. I don't know if anyone can really read what's up there. I do have some PowerPoints that are printed out here. Just for the, it's really just the section relative to special exception setbacks that permits a gatehouse in the beachfront district. The minimum setback is 10 feet from the front property line. And then there are a number of specific regulations. Again, the kind of impetus for this was the gatehouses going up at 29, 29, and 35, 65 that were spec houses, and whether the commission wanted to continue to allow that based on seeing the trend, at least of these 2 spec built homes on the beach utilizing this special exception. One, let me back up and go into the special exception consideration. So they have to be detached 10 feet off of the front property line. They can't exceed 500 square feet in size. A lot of sort of common sense regulations. They can't be very large, 18 feet in height. They can't have a door fronting on A1A. Parking has to be screened. So, this is a well thought out special exception. I think it's really just maybe the location that can be something that the commission considers, as well as the aesthetic that it gives to the street while you're driving by. So here on the, everyone is now looking at their handout, you can see this on the screen as well. Either way, we have 2929 North Ocean, which is right across from Gulfview Road. I think that's probably something that everyone sees on a regular basis when they're leaving the core. So probably a lot of you, and that, if you want to go to the next slide again, Renee, this is really the one on the slide number 4, the bottom of the second page is really, that's the view that you get, right? So you come up and you have a gatehouse that is a little bit more setback than is required, 15 feet. But that's your view from the street, as opposed to, a wall or just a traditional gate. So that's just a different aesthetic than that we've typically had in town. And then on the next slide, you have 3565 again, a spec house built in just this year. I mean, we've gone through approval process, but the building was CO this year. It's about approximately 10-foot setback from the property line. Just the way the North Ocean Boulevard right-of-way, the A1A right-of-way is, it does kind of look like it's a little bit more set off from the road, but it is 10 feet from the property line, which is the minimum permitted. And you can see the, you know, the roof structure there, minimum of 18 feet, and how that occupies the front of the streetscape. Then moving on, we just had some examples of some other gates, and just that again, that front aesthetic while you're driving on A1A. At 1357, the house was built in 1996. I believe it was remodeled by one of these was redone with a pool and some landscaping by Dave Bodker. So it's certainly updated, but that's
1357.
Yeah, 1357. You know, so certainly very beautiful. You have a very nice gate there. It's low, has some ornamentation, or it's not just solid. And then the next one at 1555. You know, again, just a different aesthetic, looking in there, more room for landscaping. You know, so that's just, like I said, sort of your example of what you typically see in town. And then the last page, I did reach out to Carlos Linares, who is architect of record for those new houses. And I asked him, you know, why he used that as an opportunity to, or, you know, just to maybe, what was the impetus behind putting gatehouses in these two properties. And he said, you know, there's, it was something that him and the owner, the investment company, determined that it added value to the property. He said it's a good location. It doesn't obstruct the ocean view, which is certainly something that's very valuable, you know, that valuable real estate on the ocean. It doesn't become too large, and it frames the property, gives you an idea of what you're coming into as you're entering the property, and seems to think that it's, you know, it's a valuable addition to the code. So those are just, you know, some things to consider with the potential added value that you have with a minor accessory structure that can be located in a non-obstructive location with some sort of livable area, and how you would want to potentially address any changes. So this is something that we brought up for discussion, I think, a few meetings ago. So we just wanted to give you a full rundown of that permitted minor accessory structure. And if you felt like it was good and we want to continue to see those structures along A1A, or if you want something maybe adjusted to move them further back or otherwise regulated in a different manner.
So a couple of questions on these. I mean, the gatehouse basically is, you know, it's basically like some sort of guest quarters now. It's livable square footage. So if you take that out, I mean, they would, you know, they'd be able to add the FAR, the floor area somewhere else.
Correct.
Is there a way to, this is a special exception, which can be granted or denied. Is there a way to drop this into something else?
I mean,
you take the code section and you move it. It's not a variance, because that's obviously it's not a wait. You know, Gulfstream's kind of different because we don't have waivers. We have special exceptions or variance. I mean, is there a way to drop this section? I mean, it's as written into another, it's Friday, it's been a long week, I should know this, but is there a way to drop this into another section that's strictly on a case-by-case basis and has to be voted on as a separate item by the committee? I mean, a special exception sort of is that, but you get where I'm going with this?
Yes, I understand. Essentially, if they met those criteria, just make it a little bit, I mean, we could add some additional criteria that have a little bit more discretion.
After, you know, when it goes through ARPV or to, I mean, we don't have to make this decision today, but if it goes through ARPV and ultimately the commission, you know, they're like, well, there's some risk to you doing this. You know, it may be thumbs up or thumbs down, and then that's going to be a partial redesign. Again, if they're going to try to add the square footage somewhere else and it's a, you know, $15 million, right now $8 or $9 million in construction. You know, they're probably not going to want to do that. So I don't know whether we just eliminate it altogether as opposed to, that's the way, you know, this is going, as opposed to making it more restrictive and then having these applications bounce around. But, you know, these are pretty significant homes when they're either renovated or torn down and reconstructed. So it's not, you know, it's like a different deal. So, you know, they ought to sort of know there's risk in doing that and maybe vote it down.
I think certain gatehouses are more offensive than others. Some are just fine. So I agree with what you're saying. If there's some way, because one of the new gatehouses is kind of like right in your face. You know,
on Gulf
All
Road,
lots
I
are-
mean,
some of them, the one next door, it's not offensive. You know, it's not that offensive. It's an older one, and somehow it's more hidden or landscape. But on a case-by-case basis, because some are just more offensive. I think.
With hindsight, the one that you look at going down Gulf View as you entered A1A, I wouldn't have approved.
Well, yeah, I'm trying not to pick one out.
and I don't-
I'm trying to be politically correct.
I don't know how to be political. I don't think that we should have.
Yeah, but I think some gatehouses, like, it goes back to giving us the decision whether to approve it. Like, I know when this came up, we
Well,
had no
that's
choice.
Well, if you take a huge lot or bigger lot on this district, you know, when Mediterranean comes back, which eventually it probably will, or some other type of, you know, revival style, you know, you might want one. I mean, that's my point, which is sort of what they went with. So.
It's like the house to the right of the
Right,
Gulf View
and
house.
some
I
of the
mean,
historic-
it's not
some of the-
offensive.
Right,
It's
some of the
just-
historic homes have this feature as well. You know, we're kind of talking about new construction here, but, you know, some styles will come back, which it fits. You know, I think the Gatehouse with the very popular large angle Bermuda Caribbean style sometimes is, you know, as opposed to a barrel tile and it's blending in and, you know, all that sort of stuff, and the stucco's different.
So why don't we move in the direction, let's not prohibit it,
right,
but let's have a tighter control. I don't know how you achieve that, but
I mean, it's discouraged, but
Trey can
you
do
know,
anything.
yeah.
He can make it happen, right? See?
That's what I'm here for.
Good. And obviously, I mean, we could eliminate it and say, well, you have this option, but you have to get a variance. I mean, that's pretty strong, but that's basically you've eliminated it, and we want to do something that's not in the code. So, I mean, the special exception does do what the special exception does what I'm saying. It's, you know, what I'm talking about, obviously, but it seems to be more automatic these days. Now, if it qualifies, we put it on the application, it fits all the parameters and the special exception, everybody votes for it. I guess is the point we're making.
I mean, at this point, it does include criteria that it needs to be consistent with the standards of the North Ocean Boulevard Overlay District, which does require that it not disturb any views or vistas. And, you know, it's a little bit more, gives you a little bit more discretion. So there could be, you know, an opportunity there to educate a developer or an owner about the potential problems with building a gatehouse, a certain design in the overlay district.
Historic
So.
highway.
bring it up for further discussion.
Sure. So, yeah, if you can, I guess the guidance here, if everyone agrees, then is if Trey, if you can just come back and see if we, without totally eliminating it from the code, we can come back and maybe tighten up the special exception where it's not, you know, automatic. Obviously, I wouldn't, automatic's the wrong word to use, but you get what I'm saying. And obviously too, it's got to take into account the streetscape. You know, we've got the one here that, you know, people have been commenting on is that it's, you know, at the end of another road coming into it, which is rare on A1A. And then also, you know, how many of them are on a road, and there's all kinds of things we can probably do on that. So, okay. Any other comments on that item? Gas-powered leaf blowers.
Okay, at our last meeting, we discussed the possibility of prohibiting the use of gas-powered leaf blowers because of the noise and health and environmental reasons. Mr. John Shubin, who is here with us today, a resident on Gulfstream Road, addressed the town commission and expressed his interest in the town exploring the idea of placing parameters for commercial landscaping activities that included reasonable decibel requirements when using gas-powered leaf blowers. He said that Naples, Surfside, and South Miami have banned the use of gas-powered leaf blowers, and Palm Beach uses time, place, and noise restrictions on their use. So the staff did reach out to Palm Beach, Surfside, South Miami, Naples, Manalapan, and Ocean Ridge, and to discuss the way they address this. And we found that basically Palm Beach and Naples, they absolutely prohibit the use of gas-powered leaf blowers in their codes. Now Palm Beach, these are the commercial uses. Now Palm Beach does allow residents to use gas-powered leaf blowers. I'm not sure how many Palm Beach residents do their own cleaning of their houses, lawn mowing, and such. So, but it does allow them to use them. So again, those two towns, Palm Beach and Naples, prohibit the use of gas leaf blowers. And so the other towns, South Miami, Manalapan, Ocean Ridge, and Surfside have parameters around using gas blowers, and they have decibel requirements, and so they actually they monitor that, and but they do allow gas blowers, but they've developed decibel requirements, and it requires them then to monitor every time.
Who does this?
Who does this?
Yeah, I mean, is Chief do it?
Well,
I mean, hire a leaf blower, that's what
we haven't gotten that far yet. So
who monitors this? Huh?
well, I mean, in I believe it's Surfside, they actually, I mean, it's their code enforcement.
It's not practical. So I mean, I don't.
Yeah. So basically, and I'm going to try to not to get into a lot of depth in this, but there's really two ways to do it. You either not allow the gas blowers, or you have every one of these towns has a variation of how they oversee the use of gas blowers. And but if there's not a outright you can't use them, then there's various ways they monitor it, and so it's almost. So I asked Ocean Ridge and Manalapan, how they do it, and they really wait until someone complains, right? And although they could go out and monitor it, but they don't do that, and so it's based on complaints, or in other words, it's not the police typically are the ones that do this. So as they're out on Point Manalapan or going up and down A1A and Ocean Ridge, the police don't go, well, I think I see some people working here, so I think I'll go, monitor it and see if they, they're beyond the allowable decibel readings. So they don't typically do it that way. But what that does is still allow gas-powered blowers. And so the goal of the towns and cities that have banned those, the goal of that is also environmental, not just the noise. And so that's where we're at. I mean, you either don't allow them, or you limit the decibel levels that they can produce, but you still have the gas powered blowers.
So what are we talking about if we were to make that change? What feedback have you gotten with regard to making that conversion? Obviously, the landscape people have to spend money replacing their equipment.
They do. I mean, and again, that varies by town and city.
What's been the general experience? It's been, are we glad we did it, or is it?
Palm Beach, absolutely. They say that the operator or the landscape companies, they police themselves, and so they will monitor other landscape companies and then complain to the town. So that's Palm Beach, and I'm not sure about the others, but they typically it hasn't, people or their landscape maintenance people have not ventured away from the towns because they require them to use the electric.
I think you'd have to do over time.
Oh, you do.
can just say,
You do.
go out and buy
Okay,
new
so
ones. It must be over 5 years
Well,
or
Palm Beach
10
didn't
years,
do that. Palm
5
Beach
years.
said, bam, I mean, by April 17th, you're required to use or you're prohibited from using the gas powered ones. So, but the others typically have given them like a year or maybe 6 months to transition over to them.
What's the spec for the commercial gas blower or battery powered blower? Is it a backpack? I mean, it's not just a standard Ryobi battery powered you buy at Home Depot. There's like a $1,500 spec. What's the product they buy right now that's available?
Well, that's a good question. I didn't get into that detail.
Not that it's our problem, not that it's the town's problem, but you just have to sort of know I don't know what's in the marketplace on that that's, above home use right now.
Right.
I haven't looked at none of the
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I'd have to.
I mean, I think last time somebody said, I don't know, it was Mr. Schuven or somebody else said, I think it's like a $1,300 to $1,500 item for commercial
yes.
Battery operated.
With your permission, can I address?
Absolutely.
So I think the way Palm Beach does it is reasonable, because there is no rated gas-powered leaf blower that is under 75 decibels. So you have Underwriters Laboratory, you have a number of specs. So the way Palm Beach does it is, rather than saying we are outright prohibiting gas-powered leaf blowers, we're saying anything over 70, nothing's permitted over 75 decibels. So that effectively prohibits them, but it doesn't come off as a prohibition. Naples wanted to send a message and actually said we're prohibiting them.
Right.
It has the same effect. Now, so all of the underwriting and the standards agencies, I believe, where the cutoff point is 75 decibels. The lithium, the electrical, they're all 75 decibels and under. And one of the other sort of positive impacts is that even those towns that are allowing gas-powered leaf blowers, in many cases, they're requiring monitoring headsets because of the potential impacts on the workers. It's not just an impact in terms of the gas. It's not just an impact in terms of the secondary noise. It also has a negative impact on the people who are operating them. So I think if you look to the way Palm Beach does it, it doesn't send that draconian message that we're banning it. It allows people who, I guess, want to use them on their own to use them. It does not in any way restrict it on golf courses or public parks or those types of. It just essentially says you can do what you want, but it has to be 75 decibels or less, which I think is a very, very reasonable standard.
What's a typical gas powered?
They're up between 95 to 105, which 95 to 105 can cause deafness over 3 to 5 minutes. And that's why even in communities that allow them, they're beginning to really require the sort of, shoot, if you were shooting, the sort of equipment that you would have to protect the workers.
Let me ask another question. I have an electric, and I'm not a specialist in this, but I have a gas powered in Long Island, and I have an electric here. And it seems like the gas powered, if I was going to do an area, that it takes less time because it's got more power. Now, what I'm getting at is, are we going to hear an extended noise rather than it going for 1 minute? Now it's 2 minutes. You understand my?
I do. And again, I don't profess to be an expert. I think I've done a lot of research on the regulation, but I think that the difference, particularly on lots 1 acre or less, is really, really insignificant.
Right.
And then the other big point is the blowing power is so much greater that you have the impact that it blows it onto other people's yards. It blows it onto the street, which is another integral part of most of these regulations. It's so powerful. That's why it's incredibly effective. Now, if we were dealing with 5-10 acre lots, it might be a completely different issue, which is why for golf courses and for larger lots, they're still allowing them in Palm Beach. But, for sort of half an acre, third of an acre, I don't think there's any real difference in terms of the timing. But the difference between 70 decibels and 95 decibels is dramatic.
Well, I think I've mentioned this to you before. Where I live in the village of Southampton, they made the transition. No gas, except, the homeowner can use it. No commercial gas operated. And, the guy who takes care of my property, he kind of moaned about it a little bit. And it's like, so what? Because guess what? It ends up, they continue to work here. It might cost me another $10 a month or something for the capital cost for them to make that conversion. I'm in favor of it. I don't see any reason not to. I think environmentally, 2-cycle engines, I think it's 2-cycle.
2-cycle, yes.
Environmentally, the worst. I can't stand the noise, frankly. I like to eat breakfast outside in the morning and listen to those. And I gave up getting up early when I stopped working. I don't need to listen to these guys blowing like what they do. I mean, it's even at lunch sometimes I'm outside and it just, I can't even talk to my wife. I mean, I'm very much in favor of getting rid of it. So,
and if I may make one other point on some of the other communities, is your town attorney will tell you in the most recent legislative session, the legislature has now mandated that all code, you can't have an anonymous code complaint any longer. You can no longer act on an anonymous complaint. That's now new state law. So these jurisdictions that sort of require somebody to call, I personally, this is just my personal opinion, particularly in a small community like this, the idea of having, a complaint-driven system where the neighbor has to announce who it is just a recipe for, it's not, I think it's not in the community spirit. So having a standard, having a clear standard that can be, it when you hear it, it's got a decibel. I've said if it's not improper, I'm happy to contribute to the town a decibel reader. I'm happy to do it. And if it just seems too loud and it's over 75 decibels, then you enforce it. So you don't have neighbors ratting out neighbors, landscapers ratting out other landscapers. That's not the community we want. We want a peaceful community, in my opinion. That's why I moved here and why I love it. And this is, I think, the Palm Beach sort of the legal structure in which they set it up. I think it sends the right message in terms of the optics. I think it's the most enforceable, and I think it will result in the best quality of life.
Can I ask you a question? Are all electric power blowers, they're all different decibel ratings, or they're all the same? Or,
they're clustered. Some are electric, some are lithium. There are all sorts of new models, but the basic clustering is below 75 and above 75.
Are there any? Okay.
And I think, and again, I was keeping track of this, or my office was keeping track of this. I think since March of 2020, maybe 200 to 250 communities around the country have passed these for obvious reasons. People are spending more time at home. People are walking in their neighborhoods during 9 to 5 hours. It's becoming an issue that maybe was a silent issue, no pun intended, before March of 2020, and it's now becoming something that everyone is really noticing.
So all the lithium and electric are under 75 decibels?
Yes.
Okay.
And there are,
I'm
whether it's,
unfamiliar with them. Mine's really loud, but.
I want to say it's Underwriters Laboratory. There are UL standards for all of these, and they're all rated within certain decibel ranges. And you can get on sort of industry websites and see exactly where they all cluster. But 75 is kind of the tipping point.
Where do we go next?
So where are we on this town-wide? I mean, residents in Plaza Soleil know we're contemplating this. It's on the record, but you know, this is in the context of the core. These discussions are sort of, but it's a town-wide ordinance. So where are we with everybody else other than the residents of the core?
I haven't, in HOA meetings, I haven't heard it.
Okay, so, and then when's the next, do we know when the next civic association meeting is?
That's what I would say, to put it out there in the community before we do it, just to start getting education.
So
It's education.
I'll call Curtis Roach. Do you know Curtis Roach?
I know who he is, but I don't know him personally.
Can I propose that you speak to Curtis Roach so you can articulate what it is you want to do, and he's head of the Civic Association?
Sure.
And then I think the homeowners in Plaza Soleil, I think it should be.
Oh, I forgot, that doesn't include.
No.
Well,
But
it does.
It does.
Some people-
So we're talking, so the Plaza Soleil Homeowners Association, which is
And I can help get you
revitalizing.
connected with Mr. Roach,
Yeah.
and
And
perhaps we can.
I've probably spoken to 20 of the people that I have gotten to know, and I don't think there's anyone close to it, at least among the people I've spoken, but I do think it's a great idea just to get more community buy-in.
He's on Gulfstream right across from the school, so I'm sure you probably ran into him.
Yeah, so
And I just cover myself up with a hat, but you all, I mean, I'm sure I've seen him a million times walking around the neighborhood.
I mean, there's two fundamental problems we have with we've got the rutting under control. Streets are about to be repaved in 36 months. The noise of the landscaping, especially during the season, although we've got plenty of year-round residents, and then also the number of the days, and then there's no rhyme or reason to the days that the landscape companies come to service the lots. So instead of it being select days, it's every day.
Right.
Which is the complaint I've been getting as opposed to the leaf blower issue, you know, for 2 or 3 years. So as far as the leaf blower issue goes, it's step one, I guess. I mean, so this is the way everybody is going, and the community sort of fit our profile.
Right.
I'm like Commissioner Lyon said, I'm not against it either. I just, we've got to get the Plaza Soleil Homeowners Association aware of it, run it up the flagpole to the Civic Association, which should be, and then bring it back. I think the ordinances are what they are. I guess the issue with the ordinance is whether you ban them altogether or use the decibel level. Mr. Shubin's done a lot of research on this, you know, the decibel level versus that. And then, but let's just see what everybody says. I mean, again, I think it's probably the way this is going. It's either you can do it this year, next year, or wait, and then you're kind of blessed to do it.
I think it's good to get the community behind it.
Right.
To just let everyone know, because it's something, you know, it's a transition.
Probably bothers everyone.
Yeah, well, also it's
Loud.
gonna cost everyone probably a little more money in the end of the day.
Right, and they'd have to understand that, but.
And so they'll have to understand it, exactly. And also maybe let the landscapers know this might be coming.
Well, and that's why
Don't buy new gas blowers.
we, you know, probably had some kind of a period of time that we would transition.
I think we should give the people a period of time.
I mean,
not like that.
So effectively,
Naples actually had a year
Yeah.
that they provided for people to
I just,
transition.
I you know, I think
we
you have to
don't
be.
have, you know, we don't have 6,000 homes.
Right.
And so effectively, you probably, we get everybody kind of on board by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Then your time, you know, obviously you have to prove something. the ordinance, but then you probably, your time period, you'd want it in place by next season would be
Right.
the timeline, right? That would be somewhat fair, whether it's September 1st, October 1st, or November
Right.
1st, if November 22, if everything went accordingly.
Sure.
Which would end up by the time we're done would be about 6 months. So. Okay.
Okay.
I think we've got direction. We're some progress here.
Is that what you were thinking?
I'm smiling. I think that's reasonable. And again, I think probably a lot of the landscapers probably realize it's on the horizon, and maybe we should begin to tell them and even
agree.
encourage them to participate.
Yeah.
I think all stakeholders should be involved.
I think going forward, there's small business owners and, it's been tough. I mean, just horrendous the last couple of years,
No, and I know that, again, it's all incremental. My landscaping bill when I moved here probably went up 5 times from Coral Gables because I didn't have hedges like I do in Coral Gables. So I think even in Palm Beach, I think it's been incremental, maybe $5. I think it's the minimus, but I do think that they should be involved so that they don't feel that they're being excluded from the conversation.
So, Mr. Schuman, we'll work together. Absolutely. I know you will.
As possible to the town.
And that's great.
To do this responsibly and defensively and fairly. That's my promise to everyone.
Good. Okay.
You can talk to Delray, Bob.
You're right.
Okay, we're progressing on the leaf blower issue, and okay, Delray Beach text amendment is the next thing, and then we've got one more item we added.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. So, I've been talking to Amy Alvarez in the planning department over in Delray. We're going to know this afternoon whether or not the request to amend the zoning district to include motorcycle sales will appear on the October 18th Planning and Zoning Board meeting, which is a week from Monday. They did amend their proposed ordinance, so it is now a little bit broader as far as location, so it's spread out, so it's not necessarily just impacting Place House Lay, but it certainly would. And one of the things that they included was limiting engine size of motorcycles not to exceed 1,250 cubic centimeters. Certainly are, in just doing a quick research, there's like a Yamaha motorcycle that can go 0 to 60, the same as a Corvette, and it only has a 600cc engine. So, that's something that really won't help our residents. You have these sort of sport bikes that can be sold right across the street, so our position would still be that this is completely inappropriate. I did reach out to Marty Miner and just briefed him on this issue and told him that, we're going to be working on this probably. So he knows that we're going to get ready for whether or not it appears on the 18th. So as soon as we find out, and I'm on the Delray Beach website now, and they haven't posted their agenda yet for the 18th. If it's on the 18th, then it'll also be on the November 16th and December 7th or 14th city commission meeting. So it does have to go through those levels of approval. And that's the update. Not anything to report, but it very well may be that we will have our first appearance opposing this before the next meeting. So just wanted to bring you up to date on that.
Okay. So moving on to
CIP project.
Yeah, so we did have a mandatory proposal meeting for civil engineers or applicants to design the CIP project. And we have a schedule for this. We had that last week, and so we would be advertising for RFQs September 21 and September 22nd of 21. We had our mandatory pre-proposal meeting on October 1st. Today is the deadline for any questions, submissions from the applicants or the companies that showed up here. There were 8 of them. Then we have the RFQ submission deadline is November 8th. and then a shortlist notification for oral interviews on November 15th. And then it would be on the commission agenda for the December 10th, 2021 meeting. So that's an update of where we are on our CIP program.
Okay.
And then I wanted to just add something just to give you information about our tower placement over here. The tower that's sitting behind Rebecca. What we would like to propose is to take out the first step right there and move that closer, further from her to the right to help get rid of that. This is really kind of the last step in our, redo of how we, take, how our people control all the visuals that we have up here and the recording of it. I did have Delray Beach Fire Department come and look at this to make sure that the access, if that would be okay with the access. I mean, all of us we always come in this way. And so
I go out this way.
I'm sorry.
I used to.
You do? Okay. Well, I guess we won't try
No,
this.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know. So it's all in an effort to kind of get rid of the ugly stand there. And so he said that the distance of the table there is fine, and that being there by those steps is fine because we have we have two abilities to get out of here. So
Did you ever think to put it in the corner? Can it come up? It'd be really out of the way?
Well, but then you'd see it. So if it's
on the-
shorter than
it's on the
here,
camera.
so I'd like to just kind of put it.
I didn't know it was on the camera.
You move it.
I just thought it'd be kind of hidden back here.
So I just, I thought about that, but then we have wires running all the way back and forth from
I
this.
mean, is
end.
that our new rack, or are we getting a smaller one?
We repurposed the old rack. So, but it's completely full, so I can't shrink it. I can't, there's nowhere to.
Yeah,
Just go back a little bit, and you could still get by this if you needed to.
So if the first step is out, we can't go this way.
No,
It's too
it'll be
long.
completely cut off.
No, it would
Right.
be, like, the idea is to
Yeah.
make a
So we
pocket
have to-
and just slide this back.
Yeah, so I think you have to have we have to have something here though.
Yes. it
yes,
would block this off.
absolutely.
You have to extend the top or something.
Right.
Okay.
And and if it doesn't work, I mean, it's easily put back into place. But again, the goal is to kind of make that sight unseen. And you see, we've got the new table, the new, and so all to make it look better and using the new equipment that we have.
So do we need approval for that?
No,
We have to ask Rita, it's okay.
Did Rita approve of this?
Not really.
At the last,
I'm in trouble, mate.
at the last department meeting, was there a vote? Was Rita outvoted?
Well,
We'll leave it to the.
What's your idea, Rita? Where should we put
I
it?
trust the town manager, you
I have
decide.
an idea of where to put it. I was concerned that it was compromising the fire exit.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I had the captain in inspections come from Delray Beach, and he said, no, it would be okay there.
No, I can't get out.
You gotta come this way. You have to be more social.
Can we leave it to the town manager?
Yeah,
to solve
okay.
this problem?
Let's.
Anyway, so this is just a matter of information for you that that's the way we, and it passes muster with the Delray Beach Fire Department.
So you really didn't care what we thought? No, I'm just kidding.
No, I did because I did bring it to you before we did anything with it.
I mean, the only other option is that the stack is smaller, but we're
Yeah.
limited space over there and it's full.
Yeah.
And you want it to cool properly, so. Okay, that sounds great. So run it by Rita and let us know how it turns
Okay,
out.
all right.
I'm
Okay.
gonna go that way.
And see, now Rita has much more room over there.
Yeah.
And it just,
Yeah.
it looks.
You don't have to deal with all those dials anymore.
No, that's fine. I got no problem with that.
Okay, what's next?
All right,
And
so
that's
we've
it.
got
That's it for me.
architectural review and planning board meeting dates here for everyone. And then the finance director, you've got the financial report, September, and the water usage.
Yes, sir. Let me find it. I just wanted to point out the, sorry about this. On our financial highlights, of course, September was the last month in the fiscal year. And so we've submitted all of our reports that we're required to submit. Notice there'll be a resolution to increase certain capital budgets that will be presented in November. We do that every year. Revenues for the fiscal year 21 will continue to be received through November, and we're projected to again exceed budgeted revenues for fiscal year 2021. And then I guess when will we be providing the water consumption report?
They have it. They have it.
Oh, they do?
We have it.
It's right here.
Okay. All right. So that's
Unaudited.
yeah. So that's report.
So it went down. That's good.
So I would submit both the water usage report and this balance sheet.
All right.
Okay.
For your
Chief.
approval.
I request the report be accepted as submitted. I have one more officer that we're doing background right now. And all should go well with him. Should be able to start him within 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay, then we'll be fully staffed.
Fully staffed.
Okay, perfect. Thanks,
Great.
Chief. Engagement agreement, Ward Damon, labor and employment.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. So as you know, we've been dealing with a union vote with the police department that did come out within the last month, and they did vote to unionize. So we now have a unionized police department. Mr. Peterson helped us a little bit with navigating the specifics of trying to educate our officers on the benefits and drawbacks of that. He worked very closely with the mayor, myself, and Greg, and I believe the mayor, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, was very happy with his ability and his services. He also does police labor negotiations for Manalapan and a number of other Palm Beach County jurisdictions. So we would like to bring him on specifically to handle contract negotiations as we negotiate with our new labor union over at the police department.
Yeah, I know Jeff. I've worked with them on some labor and employment matters in my professional career, so he's very well qualified. So anybody have any questions or comments on the
Do you need a motion?
agreement? We need a motion to approve. Yes.
Okay, I'll approve to the engagement agreement with Ward Damon, attorneys employment matters. Is that what you need?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Second?
I'll second it.
Rita, can you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Lyons,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwine,
Yes.
and Vice Mayor Stanley.
Yes. Okay, any other comments by the commissioners or staff before we adjourn?
2 quick things.
Yes.
Police chief, when I've been walking, I've noticed that some of these mothers, when they drop the kids off, are still driving pretty fast. I don't know whether you see some of that, but
Dropping the kids off.
yeah, they just come out of school pretty. I don't know what we can do to remind some of the, but
Now, we sit out there and try.
We've been so I was talking to the chief about this before the meeting started, obviously, and then with the last 3 or 4 weeks. So don't quote me on this, so there's roughly somewhere between 60 and 80 new families at the school that needed to be kind of brought up to speed on the traffic routes and whatnot. Not for any other reason, they just don't know. You know, this is an odd situation where you're going through a neighborhood, there's no feeder street. You know, it's not like Banyan Creek Elementary has a feeder street. So, so then the chief has been working a little bit overtime with regard to both the traffic flow, so as the headmaster, or the head of school, I should say, and the chief, and then a couple of residents because of the stop signs and the traffic patterns. So we hopefully are making progress on that. So it's been a little more aggressive on the education this year than in years past. So it hasn't been overlooked.
Good. Other thing, we had passed a resolution, I don't know, 6 months ago regarding, talking about speed on the intercoastal. And I believe that Ocean Ridge had passed a resolution, so did Delray. And I saw in the Coastal Star that there had been a couple of serious accidents on the intercoastal. And I'm just wondering, is there some follow-up that we should take given these recent accidents on the intercoastal? Because I frequently get complaints from people who have homes on the intercoastal.
Yeah. So those complaints have been ongoing for years and years and years about what the proverbial no wake zone. So I used to keep up with it because I had to have some channel markers moved in front of a building one time. And I never thought it would happen, and then they were moved. So I look like a hero, but this was in Delray. But where are we on that with no wake zones? I mean, it's kind of like with the rutting and lawns, we go in 3 or 4 year cycles on reconsidering that.
Well, I mean, we did pass a resolution that encouraged the regulatory agency to enact that, and we connected with Delray to the south and George Bush all the way to the northern terminus of the town. So we can certainly follow up with, it's that agency.
Am I wrong that I thought I
changes.
heard that unless there was some safety issue, they weren't interested in addressing it at all? But now they've determined that, boats running over other boats is not a good thing. Maybe they would reconsider their view. I just think it's an opportune time to bring it up. Okay. I'm done.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Going once, going twice, the meeting's adjourned. Thanks, everybody, for your hard work.
Thank you.